Hello. So the last time I did a video at this little table here, I was making a little hanging for our tree out front. And this time I figured I would just record while talking because last time I didn't feel like taking the time to edit together video and audio and all that. So I will just speak. And I learned a lot through that process. Because I didn't have little mirror pieces like I was hoping to find at like a local dollar store or craft store, I decided to get creative and to use these little glass pieces that I had left over from my grandpa's slides. He has these, well, he's passed away, photo slides from his travels and adventures. Yeah, and from these, there's a little car there, had these little glass pieces. And so I took those glass pieces, and on one of them I painted using these little Ecoline liquid watercolor, yes. Figuring it might wash off in the rain, but I sealed around the edges of the glass with the hot glue that I used to attach it to the string. So I'm here to share an update about how that went and to work a little more today. Also, these little boxes, this little box was my grandpa's, and I've just kept all his stuff in here. In the very bottom, there's these little like doodles that he did. And then this little box, I used to actually keep my tools in college. I don't know why, in such a little thing. And then after I moved my tools into a bigger box, because I had more tools, my friend had given me these liquid watercolors and I didn't have any place to put them, so I just put them in this box, and that's where they have lived for now. So that is why these things are in these boxes. So get ready to see my complete failure of a project. Not complete failure. It's not failure if you learn something. This is what the tree hanging looks like now. So as you can see, the rain did mostly wash away the designs. You can still kind of see, this was the one that had little flowers. This one had a lot more blue in it. This one was the butterfly, and it is completely gone. And this one was at the bottom, so my guess is that the water ran down the string and more water got into this one as a result. And then you can also see that the little round pieces like these were slowly falling off. Like this one, I can take off just like that. They're too heavy and fell off. Except for these ones held, I think because they had like a little bit of paint in them that made them a little more grippy. But I am just gonna pull these apart because I'm nervous that they will eventually fall. So I will figure out a different use for these little beady guys that is not on a tree hanging. Yeah, so I wanted to make a video just like expanding on this project, sharing what I learned and the ways that it did not work out, and also just like updating with a new version of it. So here we go. So the other piece that was included on this string that you don't see here, but it's where these two glue marks were these little squares of glass that I picked up from Scrap Be More, which if you're in Baltimore, you definitely need to check out. It's all secondhand crafts and art supplies. And so I think the little glass pieces were actually like samples for something larger glass related. But yeah, I kind of figured they would fall because they were so big and heavy, and I didn't sandwich them on both sides. So really they were just held on by this one strip of glue. So they were actually the first to fall, which was very sad. And here's all the broken pieces. So yeah, this sadly broke. These thankfully are still intact. And as you can see, these little glass pieces fell to the ground and broke. So that was my bad. Not thinking about how the wind and how them not being fully sealed on well would impact things. But I am going to see, now that these are in smaller pieces, if I can like maybe somehow repurpose them onto these hanging things again, because I love the rich, it's like a really, really deep blue color. This one, my favorite color is ultramarine blue, and I think this is pretty close, if not ultramarine blue color when you see it in the light. And then this nice lighter blue that thankfully didn't break quite so much. Maybe there's a way I can sandwich this one like with one of the glass pieces. That way it's more likely to stay. So we'll see. But yeah, a really exciting thing, and part of the reason why I decided to come back to this is that I learned that Party City was going out of business because I went to get lunch with a friend and we saw that Party City was going out of business. And so she and I decided to go in and walk around together and just see. And there were a lot of things on sale, and there were some supplies that I was needing for a conference that I have coming up in May that I found at this Party City, and so I went ahead and got them. One of the things that I found was a beach ball, and I used that to create this like icebreaker activity for when we have Bible studies on campus. And I used it and then shared with the students I was meeting with how Party City is going out of business, and then one of them shared with me that Joann Fabrics and Crafts is also going out of business. So I was like, oh, I should go to Joann's and see if they have anything that might make sense. And what I found at Joann's, I found little mirrors, the exact thing I was looking for when I wanted to do this project in the first place. So I just took a second to unpack all these from their little containers, so they'll be ready to get put together, and to bring over my little candle because I realized it was on the other side of the room, so I wasn't appreciating it. I just want to take some time today to remake this thing that I made and learned a lot from making and seeing how it failed and also just to talk about the dynamics of places like Party City and Joann Fabrics and Crafts closing at the same time while I work on this and create a thing. So just a little context as to why I started even making this random thing in the first place, because I don't like to make things for no good reason or create things that might ultimately become trash. But I had been noticing some like tree hangings in other parts of our neighborhood and really just liking them. I like how they catch the light, they add a little bit of beauty and like almost like mystery, and it's just something that lifts up your eyes and makes you look twice. And so I was really interested in making one to hang in the tree in our front. We live in Baltimore City, so the tree bed that's right in front of the row home we live in. Yeah, and I wanted to see if I could find the materials to make this secondhand. So I already had this like fish wire from like a project I did in high school, and I already had a hot glue gun also. And so I just needed little mirrors is what I figured. Oh man, I need more hot glue than I have. This will not work, not sufficient. All right, well, that was wasteful, but we will recover. Maybe I can remelt it. I can probably remelt it. Okay, excuse me while I get more hot glue. I found some really long ones that I have. I think I got these actually from Scrap Be More as well. Yeah, so why buy new hot glue if there's already hot glue in the world being sold secondhand? Oh. Sorry, I'm struggling here. My glue gun was a little bit jammed. This whole project has been so funny. Living and learning. But now there's glue coming out pretty well, so I'm thankful for that. That's probably the jam right there, that dark color stuff. I got a little nice little sandwich here on the end of mirrors. And yeah, I don't think hot glue is the most sustainable option because I think it's just like molten plastic. But I already have the hot glue gun. I already have the hot glue. Might as well use it to make something nice for the neighborhood. And yeah, also just looking for simple, fun ways to beautify our block. Like we've been mulching tree beds and making these little things. I had some like solar powered like thin fairy string lights left over from a project that I didn't end up using that I like wrapped around a tree. You can't leave them on the tree obviously because they'll constrict the growth over time, but I'll take them off periodically and then put them back on looser. So yeah, that's how the original project came about. And then, like I shared, a lot went wrong, and I learned a lot. And then when I was in Joann's, I found these little mirror pieces. I was like, oh my goodness, I can do the project kind of like I originally intended. But now, including the pieces that I already had included, plus the mirrors. So yeah, while I was working on this, I wanted to talk about the dynamics I feel of shopping at Party City and Joann Fabrics and Crafts as they're going out of business. So Party City is not normally a store that I would shop at because pretty much everything in there is designed to be single use. Not everything, and a lot of things, even if they are designed to be single use, can be used more than one time and repurposed. But yeah, just the intent of the store is cheap, disposable party products and a lot of plastic and a lot of waste. And so normally that is not something I would want to buy or have in my life. But the interesting thing about them closing down is they're liquidating all of their inventory. And so that means, at least as far as I know, that either, someone's going to buy it in the liquidation time period, and that person who's buying it is most likely going to use it as like a single use item as it's designed to be used, or maybe they'll use it a few times, or if they are sustainably minded, maybe they'll try to make the most of it before it getting thrown away, or like upcycle it in some kind of way. But yeah, either that, or I don't really know what they do with the excess inventory, if it just ends up in the trash, if they give it to other stores. So yeah, my mentality going into Party City and Joann Fabrics and Crafts is like, okay, how can I, as a person who cares about sustainability and things not just becoming garbage quickly, potentially rescue some of these items? Oh, you can see my face. Hi. That's weird. Hello. So yeah, that's kind of the mentality I was going in with. It's just an interesting thing being at these stores closing down and kind of seeing like, well, how can I shop in this place in a way that does align with my values and maybe give these things that could easily become trash like a more permanent home. Like, I'm not creating this tree hanging thing just as like a fun thing I can put up for a while and then get sick of and then throw away. Like, I'm putting up this tree hanging thing because I think it will be a really nice thing in the neighborhood somewhat long term. And like, if it breaks or if it has problems, like, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna do my best to make the most out of it. And even if like we move, I might take it with me, or I might ask the neighbors like, hey, do you like this? Do you want us to leave this here? Again, keeping in mind the tree and not wanting to constrict the tree with the thing hanging in it. Like, the way I hung it up the first time was I made it a knot so that way the string could grow. Like, it was like a slip knot, so the string could grow along with the branch and not constrict the growth, or like dig into the branch over time. So yeah, it's just been a really interesting dynamic in terms of like going to these places that are closing down and thinking about, okay, how do I go about this? And like, of course, I don't have to go to these places, but like, I was really happy that I found these mirrors for really cheap at Joann Fabrics and Crafts. And for all I know, like, they could have ended up in some like random project that someone did and then like, oops, sorry, and then like threw away after that, or they could have ended up just like being wasted, whereas like I knew I was going to put these to use in a thing that I consider to be pretty permanent. And so to me that was worth it. And of course, because they're going out of business, everything is on sale, so it's not like this huge cost that I'm racking up, because they're really trying to get rid of their inventory. So in a way, saving money on something I had intended to buy anyway. I think that's a part of sustainability that not everyone talks about, is like, yes, there's limiting the things you do consume. Like, I think if I were deciding today whether or not I buy a glue gun, it would sort of be an evaluation, because, right, this is a plastic tool. Someday it will probably break. Hopefully not for a very, very long time. Hopefully it's usable for a long time. And then, of course, it's creating, like, it's designed to melt other plastic. And it's, like, very useful to be able to do that, but it's not maybe the most sustainable option. I would love to hear people's sustainable alternatives to hot gluing things. I guess maybe super glue? But yeah, like, if things are already created, if we already own things that are less than ideal, the best thing isn't just to like get rid of them so they become trash. Then, like, they already got produced, they already exist in our lives. How then can we make the most out of them, and how can we repair them and take care of them so they last a really long time, and become trash as late as possible. And then in the future, make decisions around not buying things or having things that are just ultimately going to become trash. Which is a lot of things in our world ultimately just become trash, sadly. Put another little circle here maybe? Or should I do another square there? I think the square is nice. And I'm just leaving the old hot glue on here because, like, when I'm putting the new hot glue on it, it's gonna melt that a little bit. So it will, like, refuse anyway. And then that little piece of hot glue that I could just rip off and it becomes trash, instead I'm making it a part of this thing. And, like, if you're not a sustainably focused or minded person, it might be a little like, well, just throw stuff away, like, who cares? And I do throw stuff away. Like, for instance, I'm putting little hot glue bits over here that, like, no, I don't really want these in the thing for whatever reason. So yeah, I am gonna throw away these little bits and pieces. But, like, I don't need to pull off that whole thing. And part of what sort of sparked that change for me of, like, how can I limit the amount of trash I'm producing is a professor of mine in college who focused a lot on creating art that, like, compelled people towards sustainability. He talked about, we say that we throw things away, but where is away? Like, we just say we throw it away, but away is somewhere. Like, these things are ending up somewhere. They're not just going away. Because a lot of the things that we throw away will not just, like, decompose and become a part of the ecosystem again. They just exist and continue to exist. And so what does it look like to not just get things away from us to end up in a landfill somewhere, but really to consider, yeah, where is away? So that was an interesting way to look at it, in my opinion. All right, I think I want another circle here at the top. Also, I feel like it's risky for me to be doing this with a candle right there. But here we are. It's what I'm doing. Also, I know this is sort of a rambly video, but I consider that an upgrade from my last video where I just didn't talk at all about what I was doing or why. But yeah, definitely not as finessed as me thinking about what I'll say in advance and then writing it down and then doing, like, a voiceover and editing that. But I'm just sort of experimenting with YouTube and seeing what kinds of videos I might make. So yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna leave this one at. And maybe I'll figure out what I can do with these little glass pieces that the designs went away from. But that's the thing. And this will hang in a tree and maybe make a neighbor smile. like the one in the other tree makes me smile. So thanks for hanging out with me, listening to me ramble. If you have a Party City or Joann Fabrics and Crafts near you, maybe go and see if there's some cheap things you can buy and prevent from going into a landfill too quickly, if you can find a good purpose and use for them. This is what it looks like hanging. The camera won't focus on it, but that's what it looks like hanging. Yeah, okay. Actually, while I'm working on this next one, so I started making this one. I put a little square one at the bottom here, and then I added these broken pieces and just kind of sealed around the edges here to help with that, and I think that'll hold pretty well. But I was thinking about more thoughts on this, like buying from Party City and Joann Fabrics and Crafts thing of like, so for instance, some of what I ended up getting at these stores is like, I got some party supplies and decorations for like an anniversary event that I have coming up, and it's like specific to that number anniversary, right? So it's like Party City has these like happy this number anniversary things and that's obviously very specific for that event, and in my life, yes, I am only going to use those things for that specific event. I'm not going to necessarily save them and hold on to them for someone else who's having that number anniversary to come around, because I want those things to be used. But what I am going to do is I'm going to try to resell them on Facebook Marketplace, or maybe list them on Buy Nothing Baltimore, to sort of say like, hey, if someone else has an event coming up for this number anniversary, I have all these things that work for that. And then I'm giving them at least 2 uses, like 2 lifespans of this disposable thing. So like I got some like tablecloths and a happy anniversary sign and things like that. That's like, yes, this is not necessarily going to serve me multiple times, although the happy anniversary sign is just a happy anniversary sign. So actually I might hang on to that and use that for other people's anniversary celebrations that I might be hosting or helping decorate for, or one day like hand it off if someone's looking for decorations like that. But I guess my point is, like, even in buying things that could be treated as single use, there's a way to use them more sustainably than just using them once and putting them in the trash. Anyway, I could talk for a long time about that, because I think it's just very complex, obviously. And it's not, you know, people like to think that moral things are very black and white, and certain moral things are very black and white. But when it comes to sustainability, like, we have to learn how to navigate the gray of, like, sometimes sustainable options can look pretty unsustainable if we're trying to, like, cultivate this really stringent standard for what sustainability means, but actually just the general principle of how can we prevent as much waste as possible and make the things that are created in the world that already exist go as far as they can possibly go, without just becoming trash instantly. Like, I think that's a very interesting, life-giving way to look at sustainability of, like, how can I be creative with the stuff that I have? And how can I be generative and life-giving and, like, put beautiful things out into the world? Like, I'm glad that things like this exist. I'm glad that there's people who hang beautiful things inside of trees in nature, like, as long as they're taking into account, like, oh, don't constrict that tree, don't, like, damage the tree for the sake of this, like, random hanging thing. But yeah, how can we participate in the creation around us in a beautiful, loving way. I glued together that little piece that was sticking out, and I just, again, like sort of sealed around the edges so there weren't sharp edges that would like cut me or anybody else who tried to touch it. And then I got out this little glass piece from my grandpa's slides, and I'm going to put it just like this, and I'm going to put the string like through the middle there. So I'm just going to put glue where the glass slide is going to go, line up the string in the middle like that, and then press the slide. Oh, the string's moving. Part of why I like working with hot glue is because it has this like flexibility to it, but sometimes it's a little bit wiggly. Yeah, I kind of wish I had put a little bit more glue in there to make it a little more stable, but I'll probably seal around these edges to help with that. So anyway, this one's fun little janky, but it'll look interesting hanging in a tree, and no one's gonna be analyzing it from super up close. So wanted to add one other piece of clarity to what I'm saying about buying things from places like Party City and Joann Fabrics and Crafts. Like, I think this rationale applies exclusively to the fact that they are liquidating their inventory. So like, I wouldn't say, oh, I should go buy a bunch of potentially single-use things from a store that's still in business, because that would be encouraging them to buy more of those things or produce more of those things that I don't want to encourage them to produce. I don't want them to understand from me buying these things from them that that is something that I would like there to be more of in the world. So I don't think the same logic applies when it's just like your everyday store, because by buying single-use things from your everyday store, you're telling them, hey, your inventory is going down for this single-use product. You should restock on that because more people will buy it and be interested in it. Which is not what I want to tell stores. I want to tell stores to invest in things that last and invest in things that I can use for the rest of my life, ideally. So I just wanted to clarify that point around that. Is like, it's not a wholesale endorsement of single-use things. Like I said, normally I would not shop at these places. But under this very rare circumstance of these items are getting liquidated anyway, how can I make the most of them? Let's see, I also have this little blue buoy that doesn't have a pair, so I'm wondering if I can pair it with a little, although that'll block the light from getting through to it, so I don't love that. I could maybe pair it with one of these, but I'm nervous. I think these are too heavy to stay on well. But maybe I could try it, and if it falls, I'll just try again. Isn't it great how we're allowed to fail and then try again? I like that this marbly thing has a little bit of that like blue paint on it, because it sort of makes it match with this blue. All right, and this is what I mean by kind of sealing around the edges. It's just sort of taking off that sharp edge and also securing it a little bit more. Just like that. Ta-da! That feels like it'll be pretty solid, but again, we'll see. If it falls, I can fix it. And that helped me use that little blue piece. Make an interesting little thing. This is not in focus. There, yeah. And the light can still shine through from this side, through the blue, to show that beautiful deep blue color. I really wish, here, wait, here, I can show you. I will show you. Oh, it's so hard to show. It shows up so much better in person. This is why the internet is incomplete. I swear it doesn't look just black, it's just this very, very deep blue color that's not showing up. So this is how that second one turned out. It's got that nice little blue guy. It's a little janky, but it'll work. So I'm gonna make one more, because outside of our home, so there's 4 tree beds and 4 trees. Thankfully there's a tree in each tree bed, which is wonderful. But I don't know, I think I have enough mirrors left to make one more hanging. So one of the trees will not get a tree hanging, but and like I said, this is fish wire that I've had, that I got for a project in like high school. So I've had it all that time. And yeah, that's another element of sustainability, I guess, is like knowing what you have, being aware of the inventory you already have, especially if you're someone creative like me. Like I have all these tools from previous projects, and if I remember that I have this, I don't need to buy other things because I already have something that will work. So yeah. But yeah, part of why I'm doing these tree hangings is, like I said, I saw one in my community that I really liked and appreciated, and I don't know, I just like the way it looks and feels. It feels very joyful and makes you pause and appreciate and wonder, which I think are valuable things in a community. Yeah, so I wanted to make one. Also, I've been trying to think of ways that we can like beautify our block, because there are a lot of vacant homes. The corner store right next to our home is abandoned, and so people will like dump trash there, and so just doing small things like let's mulch the tree beds. That'll help nourish the soil. It'll make things feel like a little bit more cared for, put together, and then maybe people won't feel as compelled to dump trash. Or this past fall I bought some daffodil bulbs and planted daffodil bulbs, and I was so happy because I was really unsure if they would grow, because like the soil was super compacted and I didn't dig the holes like quite as deep as they recommended on the package that I got them in. And yeah, I was just like, I think it'll be a miracle if these spring up. And then sure enough, this spring there they were. So there's little daffodils now growing in the tree beds as well. And then these tree hangings are just like another small way. People in our community, like some of our community associations, president and vice president, have talked about, there's like grants to get string lights put up in front of homes, which I think is really beautiful, and can be really nice to have like more lighting at night, and it can be like welcoming and friendly. I do have a little bit of misgivings around that, just because like it can also be like a signpost of gentrification. Like you don't want improvements that make community members feel uneasy about like how fast is this neighborhood changing, because we don't want the neighborhood to change super fast. We don't want people to be pushed out due to rising rent costs and rising housing costs. And so we want positive change. We want a beautiful, wonderful community, but not at the cost of losing the neighbors that we already have. Small things like this, it's I don't know, it just feels a little different from like more formalized string lighting. And maybe if community members really want string lighting, let's do string lighting. Like I'm not against string lighting in concept. It's just, you know, how will people receive changes, and how can we be mindful of that?